Welcome to Flow 360. I'm your host, Dheeraj Adhikari. Today we have David Suniga as our guest. Welcome to Flow 360, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, he's the director of ACC Welcome Center here in Austin, Texas.
Yes, that's
Um,
correct.
David, thank you for giving your time. I want to get it started by asking you about where you're born and raised.
Yeah, thank you again for the opportunity. I was born and raised in a border town here in Texas called Eagle Pass, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
That's about 3.5 hours south of here, right on the border between Del Rio, Texas, and Laredo, Texas.
Gotcha. I bet if you go back now to the border towns, you probably feel like it's a little smaller, a little quieter, right? Or
Slower,
how is the vibe? Yeah, slower.
slower, definitely slower, but very comforting too because
Comforting.
it's what I was used to, what I grew up in. It was
Mm-hmm.
a huge safety place for me. So it definitely feels slower. It's a much slower pace, much
Mm-hmm.
calmer
Yeah.
compared to Austin for sure.
Do you still have some family members down there?
Correct. Yeah, I still have some family members on my mom's side of the house.
Gotcha. And as for you mentioned to me in the past that you moved to Austin, Texas,
Yes.
to pursue higher education. So right after you finished high school, you moved here to Austin.
Correct. I moved to Austin. It was one of the reasons was affordability.
Gotcha.
My older sister was already living here,
Mm-hmm.
so it made sense financially for my parents to support two kids
Yeah.
going to college in the same place. So I moved
Gotcha.
in with my sister.
Where did you start your college at?
So University of Texas here in Austin is
Mm-hmm.
where I started. Um, didn't go so well, so after a couple of bumps on the road,
Mm-hmm.
including academic probation,
Mm-hmm.
suspension, I ended up also enrolling at ACC to try to really understand how to be a college student
Gotcha.
and build back my GPA to go back to UT.
Gotcha. So how was the vibe at ACC back then?
It was, believe it or not, is we didn't have as many campuses as we do now. So
Mm-hmm.
back then, there were 7 or 8 campuses,
Mm-hmm.
and now we're 11 strong, soon to be 13.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the student feel, it was a lot more easy to manage
Mm-hmm.
at a community college than it was to transition from high school in a border town
Mm-hmm.
to the 40 acres. Now, I did end up going back to UT and get my bachelor's, um, but it was a transition that I wasn't quite ready or
Gotcha.
prepared for.
Yeah. Maybe you being in a smaller setting kind of had the disturbs on you in terms of coming to UT and get it rolling.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was definitely much different.
Yeah.
Um, the biggest adjustment not only was the size of the campus
Mm-hmm.
but also the diversity of the student
Gotcha.
campus.
Yeah.
So it was a great transition. It just took me as an individual
Mm-hmm.
longer to
Adjust.
acclimate.
Yeah. Yeah. As for you, as you mentioned, ACC then and now trying to be 13 campuses. What are some of the changes you have seen in terms of ACC?
Definitely growth.
Mm-hmm.
From going to 7, 8 campuses to now 11, soon to be 13,
Mm-hmm.
physical growth and being able to extend our reach to pockets outside of the Austin Travis County area.
Gotcha.
Whereas we serve 7 counties, right? So it's like the state of New Jersey when you
Mm-hmm.
look at
Mm-hmm.
it on a map. So growth in terms of campuses,
Mm-hmm.
but also growth in terms of programs that we offer. So we've got over 100 programs now.
Mm-hmm.
We offer 4 bachelors.
Wow.
So everything from an associate's to a credit certificate
Mm-hmm.
to an associate's degree to now bachelor's.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely growth in terms of size,
Yeah.
programming, but also awareness. I think awareness has definitely grown over the years, more and more because we are as big as we are and spread out as much as we are. The awareness about what we bring and what we offer
Mm-hmm.
is up, and then I think also acceptance. I think it's fair to say there's still a stigma against community colleges, but I think because we've been able to meet the needs of the community, not only our community members who want to better their life through education, but also meet the needs of our industry partners, right? Great
Yeah.
partnerships. We're able to expand what we are able to offer. So I think growth in size, growth in programming, and definitely growth in awareness and acceptance of what we offer.
Yeah. As you are, working at the Welcome Center, did you ever envision ACC being this big? As you have been working for almost 25 years here.
Yeah.
Did you ever envision the ACC being this big?
Not to this extent. I mean, being employed at ACC since December of '99 has seen me a lot.
Yeah.
Allowed me to be able to see the growth.
Yeah.
Be in conversations about growing and expanding. But to see it to where it is now, in terms of number of campuses, but also offering bachelor's degrees, right? That's a tremendous opportunity for somebody to grow and be raised here in the Austin area, get a higher education at a community college prices. I think is amazing. So it's not something I envisioned, but because I've been here for so long, I was part of some of those conversations. And this Welcome Center is one of the things that we definitely talked about since 2015. We want any community member, regardless of their educational background, their race, ethnicity, we want them to come to a place where they will be heard. Right? What are your goals, short term, long term? Hopefully, they'll self disclose the challenge because we have a ton of resources. So we're able to not only say, yes, we have the program, but you mentioned childcare, you mentioned 2 jobs. We have resources that could help you with that. So getting to this point is definitely, it doesn't feel like work. Not at the Welcome Center.
Okay. As for you being here in Austin for so long, what are some of the changes you have seen here in Austin?
I remember way back when 183 was a 2-lane road.
Wow.
Yeah, compared to what it is now. And it was on a hill, so it was a little bit of a hump, and then 2-lane roads. So definitely growth in terms of how wide. I think North Central Austin is now considered where 183 meets Mopac. Right? So there's a North Central instead of just downtown Austin. But I think that came with a growth in traffic, which is probably not something everybody really enjoys. But it also came with growth in terms of our diversity, right? The populations that we are able to serve, because so many have moved to Austin or the surrounding areas, really is beneficial because we benefit from it. As a community college, we're a Hispanic Serving Institute, which means we recognize the growth in our Hispanic population. But we have a couple of cultural centers, the African American Cultural Center, and then our one for Asian populations. So the growth in diversity in our community also reflects the growth in ACC and how we are able to serve so many different communities.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like you mentioned, the road. I'm sure the little suburbs around Austin didn't really exist back then, I'm assuming.
No, I think I remember when I was a sophomore in college, I had a friend that said he was trying to convince his dad to invest in property in Far West, Far West Boulevard. And he wasn't able to convince his dad. He said, we barely have a bus system that goes out there, so no, there's never going to be any growth. And so I remember Far West being something that we talked about as being really far. But now it's not as far.
Wow.
So
definitely that's some changes.
Definitely some changes.
In terms of students coming to ACC or going somewhere else, how much do you think they need their parent support or the support from the family?
I think it's huge. Had it not been for my sister, for example, already being here, I don't think I would have been able to navigate higher ed. And it's not because the resources aren't there. It's not because there's not dedicated staff that want to help. It's because I wasn't self-advocating for myself,
Gotcha.
right?
Yeah.
So if I'm not one that self-advocates,
Mm-hmm.
then that means I rely on a support system.
Yeah.
And that support system was my sister. And then, of course, my family, my parents,
Mm-hmm.
and all that. So I think right now, um, that need to have that kind of support is just as important. And to demonstrate how we recognize that, we have a parent and family engagement initiative that we started here at ACC,
Mm-hmm.
where as much as we want to welcome and embrace and onboard new students, we also want to welcome and embrace and educate their families.
Mm-hmm.
So whether that's uh, parents, whether that's tío, tía, grandma, grandpa, anybody who is a support system to this student, new student, we want to embrace them
Mm-hmm.
and welcome them and introduce them to the culture and the community that ACC has to offer.
That's great. As far as people deciding to come here to
Mm-hmm.
ACC now that it's free tuition,
Yes.
why ACC? Why should a student come to ACC?
I think one of the biggest reasons is affordability.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ashamed to say it. I struggled through college to the point where I was kicked out of UT for academic reasons,
Mm-hmm.
not once, but twice. Right. So I used that to then come to ACC and really understand college is 100% freedom,
Mm-hmm.
no matter whether you're in a 2-year school or 4-year school.
Yeah.
But it comes with 200% responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wasn't ready for the transition of a small town into UT Austin.
Gotcha.
I had to help. I needed ACC
Mm-hmm.
and other things to kind of help me get acclimated to that.
Mm-hmm.
So if ACC is on the radar, affordability, size, classroom size, faculty to student ratio, programming that includes a workforce certificate that can stack onto an associate's, that can potentially stack onto a bachelor's, right? So stackable credentials at community college prices. And because we're a one college campus, we're a one college concept with multiple campuses. The resources that a student has can be at any campus, no matter where they're taking the classes. So I think it boils down to, in my opinion, affordability, access to programs, a plethora of program options, credit, non-credit, and then of course resources. We have a ton of resources, and they go beyond the ACC walls. We have great partnerships to help somebody find daycare assistance. We have great partnerships with food banks. So a lot of resources that a student would probably benefit from, if not in year one, probably because life is going to continue to happen in year two. So I think for all those reasons, I would, and then of course free tuition. I mean, if you're eligible for free tuition, a really good example of that is we had a family come in from a local high school, and it was twins, right? So it wasn't just one family member that wanted to go to higher ed, it's two of them. And when they realized they qualified for free tuition, not only did it make a difference in that family's financial situation, but then it allowed the mom to explore options for her, even if it's learning English as a second language, or maybe it's, you know what, maybe I can go back to school and get a credential. So I think ACC has the power to not only make a difference in an individual, but it could have a generational impact.
Gotcha.
Beyond the student.
Gotcha. I'm going to ask you, as from your point of view, sitting here now and recently graduated a high school student, then what are some of the tips and advice you can give for high schoolers, young students right now?
New students right now, I would recommend, my best advice is to really understand that you're going from a structured educational environment to one where it's all on you to advocate, to schedule, to follow through, understand deadlines. These are hard deadlines. So it's really understanding the amount of work that you've put into is going to help you, but there's going to be rooms and opportunities for growth. So lean into what you've already learned, the
Mm-hmm.
skill set you bring in. Don't shy away from that, but be open to other ways of growing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, there is going to be maybe 100% freedom, but it does come with that 200% responsibility um, and opportunities for growth.
Mm-hmm.
So, definitely bring that skill set, right? Bring your uncertainties,
Mm-hmm.
bring your hesitations, allow the resources that we have and the team that we have to convert that into knowledge and confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's a partnership.
Yeah.
No matter who you interact with, find that person that you feel comfortable with. And we see it as a partnership. We're not going to tell you what to do. We're going to guide you all the way. So hopefully see us as a partner in this journey.
Okay. Any life advice for our viewers watching you? Any tips and advices that you have?
Yeah. So like I mentioned, my journey was very unconventional.
Mm-hmm.
It took me almost 20 years
Mm-hmm.
to finish my bachelor's. Right?
Wow.
Nobody should take that
Yeah.
long. Um, but along that process was a lot of growing and
Mm-hmm.
recognition
Mm-hmm.
that there are things that I benefit from in order to do certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Accountability, a partnership,
Yeah.
somebody that I could trust
Mm-hmm.
that was already part of my inner circle, but I kind of pulled away from that, was already there. And so I would definitely say surround yourself with those that are good influencers
Mm-hmm.
in your life. And then challenges are going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Just
That's
because
true.
you transition from high school, you took the college readiness or what
Mm-hmm.
we know as TSI,
Mm-hmm.
and you passed, um, it doesn't translate into success.
Correct.
All that means is that now the work really begins.
Mm-hmm.
So, what am I going to do since I'm eligible for these classes? What am I going to do to get out of there with the A's and B's,
Yeah.
passing grades? So,
Mm-hmm.
understand that some things are a little bit of a speed bump, and then other things are doors that are going to open up to now the work really begins.
Yeah.
And how do you surround yourself with folks that can be good
Mm-hmm.
influencers and guiding you through that?
Awesome. I have a fun question here for you.
Yeah.
Um, if you could go anywhere around the world right now, where would you go and why?
Switzerland. I don't know why Switzerland. Actually, the why is just what I've seen, how peaceful it looks,
Yeah.
the scenery.
Mm-hmm.
It looks very peaceful. Um, not many, depending on the part,
Yeah.
not a whole lot of buildings, a lot more
Nature. Yeah.
nature. So that would be the place and the why.
Okay. Well, thank you, David. Thank you for
Yeah,
giving me your time. Okay. It was a pleasure.
absolutely. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Yeah.